On the eve of the company's IPO, my wife said she had a surprise for me and told me to remember to attend in formal attire. I thought she was going to publicly announce our secret relationship, and I was so excited I didn't sleep all night. But the next day, in front of everyone, she said I was an obsessed creep. She also rescinded my promotion and had her old flame who returned from abroad take over my manager position. Everyone was waiting to see me make a fool of myself. But I just froze for a second, then walked up to Julian with a faint smile. I personally took off my ID badge and put it around his neck. A new boss needs a proper welcome, right? How about a wedding? I could be your witness/officiant? My wife, Eleanor, glared at me and told me to get out of here. I was embarrassing her. But they didn't know I was the company's key network. If I left, none of the investors would deal with them anymore. The media flashbulb stunned my eyes. I saw Eleanor in the distance, giving Julian the roses I had carefully prepared. Facing the media's questions, she smiled faintly. Everyone knows how hard it was for me to start this company, but what I want to say today is, I wouldn't have achieved what I have today if Julian hadn't been quietly supporting me and encouraging me to persevere all these years. Now that the company is successfully listed, I also want to take this special day to announce something. I've decided to hand over the manager position of the marketing department to Julian. He's a high achiever who returned from abroad and has seen many advanced cases there. I believe with him, our company will surely thrive in the future. The sound of praise from everyone was deafening, and I could barely stand still. And here I was, dressed up, and I even went out of my way to buy a huge diamond ring on the way here. Also, I could wait for the moment Eleanor would publicly announce our relationship, letting the cameras capture a beautiful moment just for us. But what I hadn't expected was that it was all just a pipe dream. No wonder she insisted on not coming with me this morning. Just then, Julian's eyes fell on me. He even waved at me. Robert, why are you standing there by yourself? You're part of the company too, come up for a photo. My legs felt like lead, and my throat was dry. Part of the company? So that's all I am? I looked at Eleanor with eyes full of resentment, hoping she would stand up for me at this moment. But nothing. I didn't get her defense. Instead, I got a cold smile from her. What an uncouth person. Only good for being an ugly stalker late at night. Let's take the photo. Her words dropped like a stone, sending ripples through the crowd. Murmurs erupted among colleagues. No way, Robert Miller looks so presentable, but he's a stalker behind the scenes? The way Eleanor looks, he must have harassed her many times before. And I was just feeling sorry that Robert Miller didn't get the marketing department manager position. Someone like that should be kicked out of the company. My fists clenched at my sides. Hearing those words felt like my heart was being torn out. So that's how Eleanor saw me? But she forgot. When we graduated from college, she said she wanted to start a business, and everyone was against her. Her parents cut off her allowance just to shatter her confidence. It was me who gave up a guaranteed spot to study abroad and chose to stay and start the business with her. It was also me who, after she fell asleep every night, pulled all-nighters writing proposals and helped her find resources. For 3 years, I was constantly on edge, believing that once the company went public, our lives would get better and better. I left all the public glory and recognition to her, while I quietly worked behind the scenes as a selfless contributor who never complained. I never complained. I even thought all the hard work was worth it whenever I saw her get a new project, excitedly hug my neck, and kiss me. But now, it seemed everything from before was just me lost in my own beautiful dream. I had poured a huge amount of time and energy into her. In the end, all I got was being called a perverted creep and a look of utter disdain. I pulled the corners of my mouth into a smile. I had wasted 3 years of my life. The group photo was over. Julian, standing center stage, came walking towards me with Eleanor. I stared at Eleanor's hand on his arm, my emotions churning inside. She had taken off our wedding ring. But I still wore mine, treasuring it, afraid of even a scratch. While I was frozen, they were already standing in front of me. Julian held out his hand to me. We're colleagues now, Robert. Take good care of me. I stared at his outstretched hand, unmoving. I didn't believe Julian didn't know we were married, yet he also remained silent in front of the media. He even kept provoking me in front of the unsuspecting audience. To be honest, I really wanted to punch him right then. But I couldn't. No matter what, I had watched this company grow from the ground up. I couldn't bring myself to destroy it with my own hands. Seeing my silence, Eleanor scoffed again. What are you playing cool for? Robert Miller, do you really think just because you got a few deals you're some big hero and everyone should bow down to you? Having a senior like you is truly bad luck. Julian just smiled and gently patted Eleanor's shoulder to soothe her. It's okay. Maybe Robert didn't expect his manager position to be taken by me. It's normal for him to be upset. But we're both doing what's best for the company. Robert, if you're unhappy, just take it out on me. Don't affect the company. He was the magnanimous savior, and I was a stalker in the gutter. Why should he be? The more I thought about it, the more indignant I felt. Watching them playing off each other like that, they looked exactly like a couple. I exhaled softly, and under everyone's gaze, I took a step forward. I too off my ID badge and hung it directly around Julian's neck. I can't accept being called senior by you. After all, aren't you a high achiever who returned from abroad? Then you'd better do a good job. As for someone like me, I naturally don't deserve to stay in the company. I'll go handle my resignation later. But since you're the new boss, shouldn't you celebrate? How about a wedding? I can be your witness/officiant? A flicker of shock crossed Julian's eyes. He looked down at the ID badge in disbelief, then raised his head to look at me again. Meanwhile, Eleanor's brows furrowed. Robert Miller, what nonsense are you talking? You can't do anything right and only make things worse. What nonsense? Who was holding hands in front of the media cameras? Afraid to own up to it? At my prompting, the media even zoomed in for a close-up of Eleanor and Julian's clasped hands, startling Eleanor into quickly letting go. She glared at me angrily. Also, you throw a fit and threaten to quit just because someone says a few things about you? Do you really think the company will be threatened by you? I nodded seriously. I want to clarify something. This isn't a threat. It's a proper resignation. Now that the company is listed, things are different. Reputation is the most important thing. As for a perverted creep like me, I certainly can't stay in the company. Seeing me say this, Eleanor's face was grim. Julian also started to take off his ID badge. Robert, how could I possibly take your badge? If you're truly resentful, then let's just compete fairly for the manager position. His words sounded good, but he didn't take the ID badge off for a long time. Not until Eleanor pressed down on his hand. What's there to be embarrassed about? If he doesn't care, why bother being polite? Just take it. As she said this, Eleanor stared into my eyes. I didn't know if she was just being spiteful or genuinely looked down on me. I no longer had the energy to guess. As I was about to leave, Eleanor called out to me. The marketing department is still short-staffed. Don't be in a hurry to leave yet. We have a new order with an overseas partner next week. Take the team and try to secure it. I scoffed. I'd never seen anyone ask for a favor in that tone. I had a strong impression of that overseas partner. They were very cautious about choosing raw materials and hadn't deeply involved themselves in the domestic market. Naturally, they were very particular about choosing partners. But every time they announced a collaboration opportunity, many companies vied for it. Our company was no exception. Before this, I was in charge of that account. But now, I was tired. I simply dumped it all on Julian. Since Julian is so capable, he shouldn't disappoint Eleanor's expectations. Before Eleanor could say anything, Julian had already taken it upon himself. This is my first project since taking office. I will definitely lead everyone to do their best and take the company to the next level. I found it amusing. Some people are just genuinely foolish. He had no idea that company's CEO was so elusive and hard to pin down. So many people wanted to work with them, but couldn't even find a trace of him. Moreover, that company was notoriously difficult to deal with. But as luck would have it, just last month, I met their CEO by chance. At the time, he expressed his strong admiration and said he definitely wanted to work with me given the opportunity. He was interested in me as a person, not just the company. Just then, Julian even came up to me with a drink, provoking me. Don't worry, Robert. After you leave, I'll reorganize the marketing department. I won't keep the deadweight employees. I definitely won't let you down. I'll give the entire marketing department a complete overhaul and make it the true pillar of the company's marketing team. I knew he was worried I had planted informants who would work against him later. I didn't say anything. The colleagues sent heard him and didn't look pleased either, seemingly worried about their own futures. Just as Julian raised his glass, calling out for everyone to have a drink together, I slowly walked past him. Then, without hesitation, I shoved him directly into the nearby fountain. As a senior who hasn't resigned yet, here's the first thing I'm going to teach you. A new boss shouldn't come in too hot, or you might need to cool down. Eleanor's scream reached my ears. Robert Miller, are you crazy? You dare lay a hand on him in front of everyone? As she spoke, Eleanor rushed over to pull Julian out. But he thrashed around in the water for a long time without getting up. It was a winter day, the fountain water was bone-chillingly cold. Julian sneezed several times in a row, and even his carefully styled look was soaked. He looked completely disheveled. Some colleagues even took out their phones and started taking pictures. Eleanor didn't forget to throw threats at me. Robert Miller, you piece of trash, I won't let you get away with this. I ignored her, shoved my hands in my pockets, and left the venue. I stood by the road, waiting for a ride. Looking at the rain falling harder and harder outside, I felt a sense of melancholy. The first time I met Eleanor was also on a rainy day like this. I was standing outside a convenience store on the phone. Just as I opened my umbrella and was about to leave, a graceful figure ran out of the rain curtain. She darted right under my umbrella, her eyes curved as she gave me a sweet smile. Hey, I forgot my umbrella. Can I share yours? For some reason, at that moment, my heart fluttered, and my mind went blank. I just agreed. Many times later, I thought, maybe that was fate, love at first sight. Only after we got married did I learn she had her old flame, and that she had only married me out of spite. I used to think that if I was just good enough to Eleanor, I could replace her old flame in her heart and create a happy world for mice. Elf. Little did I know, it was all just a pipe dream. While I was lost in thought, I heard familiar voices behind me. It was Eleanor and Julian coming out. Seeing the rain outside, she complained rather sweetly, how did the weather change so suddenly? And such heavy rain. Do you have an umbrella? Julian's eyes scanned the surroundings, then his eyes fell on me. Oh, Eleanor, look how good Robert is to you. Knowing you don't like rainy days, he's waiting here just for you. He even called a ride for you. It was rush hour, and with the bad weather, traffic was jammed. You had to wait in line for a cab/ride. And the ride I had just called was pulling up. Eleanor nodded with satisfaction. Don't think calling a ride for me means what happened earlier is completely forgiven. You made Julian look foolish in front of the media. I'll settle the score with you when we get back. But since you went out of your way to call a ride for me, I won't hold it against you for now. As for your impulsive decision to resign, I can pretend I didn't hear it. With that, she was about to get into the ride, calling for Julian to join her. Julian gave me a glance filled with calculation and said with a smile, wouldn't that be awkward? After all, Robert called this ride specifically for you. How would it look if I just hopped in? But Eleanor said without hesitation, it's a big ride, there's plenty of room for one more. Otherwise, how long do you plan to wait here? He can just call another ride. Just as Eleanor was about to open the car door, I quickly got into the passenger seat ahead of her. Who said this ride was for you? Don't flatter yourself, okay? Then, I gave the driver the last digits of the phone number, for ride identification, and the car drove away smoothly, leaving the two of them standing there, stunned. I went back to the office to pack my things and wrote a letter of resignation on the spot, leaving it on Eleanor's desk. I looked at the office I personally inged, filled with countless emotions. I wondered, how did Eleanor and I end up like this? Or maybe, our love never even began. Just as I was about to leave, Eleanor burst in, completely soaked, and was even more furious when she saw me. She violently threw the water glass at me. Robert Miller, what the hell is wrong with you? You took a ride back yourself and just abandoned us? How can you be so selfish? Selfish? Talk about selfish? Who could be more selfish than Eleanor? I didn't say anything, adjusted my coat, and turned to leave. But Julian blocked my way, pretending to be helpful. Robert, this is where you're wrong. Even if you can't stand me and want me to suffer a bit, Eleanor is a woman. How could you be so heartless and just leave her? As men, sometimes we should be a little more understanding. Seeing him about to put his arm around my shoulder, I slapped his hand away without hesitation. If I didn't act this way, how else could I highlight your kindness? Julian seemed surprised that I wasn't angry at all. All his attempts to target me had no effect. Eleanor stared at me coldly. Robert Miller, you've truly disappointed me, especially in a situation like today's. I'm holding a press conference tomorrow, you'd better go clear things up for me, otherwise, just wait for the divorce. I nodded. Fine, let's get a divorce. Eleanor froze for a second, looking at me in utter shock. What did you say? Robert Miller, are you crazy? There was no love left in this marriage, and no need to keep it going. I was tired. I wanted to let go. Where will you go after leaving the company? Do you really think I don't know about your meager skills? What, you're pretending to be nonchalant and bringing up divorce now? Do you think I'm scared? I found it funny. It seemed I really had spoiled Eleanor all these years. I spoiled her to the point where she has no idea how things work, thinking she could take on the world by herself without me. But she forgot. For a company like this, it's all about connections, and I held all of them in my hands. The moment I left, if I leave, the whole structure will collapse. That would be her downfall. Just then, her phone rang. Eleanor glanced down, then held up the phone to me with a smug look on her face. See? William from the overseas company is calling me. Robert Miller, so what if you quit? Without you, the people who want a partner will naturally come to me. Too bad it's too late for you to change your mind now. She answered the call, smiling, but her face instantly changed in just a second. What? They have someone else in mind for the partnership? Eleanor was completely bewildered. She wanted to ask for clarification, but the other party had already hung up. Julian, who was standing nearby, realized something was wrong and looked over nervously. Eleanor, what's going on? What does it mean they have someone else in mind for the partnership? Didn't they say William was interested in partnering with us before? Eleanor also frowned in confusion. Then, as if remembering something, she stared straight at me. Robert Miller, you're behind this, aren't you? You're quitting yourself, and you want to take all the connections/resources from our company? I'm telling you, no way. If you dare to do that, I'll sue you in court. I'll accuse you of being a corporate spy. Neither of us will have it easy. Everything you took behind my back, you'll give it back. Looking at Eleanor's unrelenting face and her cold, hard words, my heart had already died at that moment. In her heart, it seemed she had never considered our relationship. Everything changed the moment Julian returned. I shrugged helplessly. Who William chooses to partner with is his own decision. As the head of the group, if he really changed his mind just because of a few words from me, you're really underestimating him. Maybe she thought what I said made sense. But at that moment, Eleanor couldn't understand why William suddenly switch allegiance. It was clear William had shown interest in partnering before. Just then, her phone rang again. This time, it was several other partners. 5 calls in a row, all demanding to cancel their partnerships. Eleanor was completely bewildered. How could this happen? Why would they all cancel out of the blue? How could she know that on the way back to the office just now, I had messaged those key contacts/clients I was dealing with, telling them I had resigned. I also told them that my colleagues would continue to handle the projects with them afterward. Many of the CEOs extended offers to me. Some even directly said they would partner with whichever company I chose to join. Eleanor looked me up and down, still seemingly suspicious. But Julian confidently tried to reassure her. Eleanor, maybe there's some misunderstanding? I'm sure Robert isn't that kind of person. Besides, all the partners demanding to cancel at the same time, surely that's not something an ordinary person could pull off, right? As he spoke, Julian looked me over. The unspoken meaning seemed to be, Robert Miller doesn't have that kind of power. What a shame, because the moment he looked down on me was the moment he made his biggest mistake. Eleanor's reason returned, and she nodded upon hearing that. You're right. I was overestimating you, Robert Miller. You're just a small marketing specialist. You really think you're capable of screwing up all my partnerships? Seeing that I was still standing there, Eleanor grabbed a document and threw it on the ground.
What are you still doing here? I don't want to see you right now.
I knew she didn't have the energy to deal with me right now, but before I left, I didn't forget to remind her. I'll have my lawyer draft the divorce papers and send them over as soon as possible. Her only response was Eleanor slamming a glass heavily onto the ground.
I went home and quickly packed my things.
3 years, and when I finally left, all my belongings fit into one small suitcase. I smiled faintly, placed the key on the table by the entrance, and turned to leave.
My lawyer had drafted the divorce papers and sent them to me the next day.
Since it was a standard divorce, our property split 50-50ths. As for Eleanor's current company, back then I had only taken a portion of the shares. But now that we had reached the point of divorce, the company would naturally have to be divided. Although Eleanor and I founded it together, I didn't take a single cent.
Even Eleanor called me immediately upon receiving the divorce papers to confirm. Are you really willing to give up the company shares and not take anything?
I knew she was afraid I would regret it later and come knocking again. After all, the company was now listed, and its future was wide open.
I didn't hesitate for a second.
I remember when we first started the company, I said you always lacked a sense of security, which is why I put the entire company under your name.
Since that was my promise from the beginning, I won't go back on it now. Besides, I've completed my resignation procedures. From now on, this company is yours alone.
There was a moment of silence on the other end.
Robert Miller, let's meet.
After all, divorce is a big deal.
We can't just settle it over the phone, can we? I resisted instinctively.
To be honest, with the marriage reaching this point, I didn't want to see Eleanor anymore.
But she insisted.
I had no choice but to agree to meet her that evening so we could formally sign the divorce papers. That evening, I sat in the restaurant, watching the pouring rain outside the window, my thoughts drifting. We first met because of a heavy rain, and unexpectedly, it was ending on a rainy day like this too.
But I no longer felt this was a special connection unique to us.
But I waited in the restaurant for a long time. The pot of tea in front of me had gone cold and was almost empty.
I still didn't see Eleanor show up, just as I was
about to call her to ask what was going on. I suddenly received a message from Julian.
So sorry, Robert, I accidentally burned my hand just now. Eleanor is busy taking care of me. The picture that followed showed Eleanor wearing lounge clothes, carefully putting a band-aid on Julian.
And the background was the apartment where we had lived together for 3 years. I smiled faintly. It seemed I had been naive once again. I asked the waiter to bring the food, then ate the entire meal by myself, and walked out just as the restaurant was about to close.
On the way home, I blocked Julian and Eleanor's contact information without hesitation.
From now on, there would be no ties between us whatsoever.
Soon, I received several job offers, and I was directly hired by the chairman.
The benefits and compensation were unbelievable, several times better than what I had at Eleanor's company.
But I politely declined.
I just want to rest for a while now. I don't want to start a new job so quickly.
While chatting with them, I also heard about the situation at Eleanor's company.
After Julian was formally promoted to manager, he set new rules for the department and carried out mass layoffs, saying the company wouldn't tolerate dead weight anymore. Many senior employees were forced out and left one after another.
Some even came to find me, wanting to keep working with me. Robert, you wouldn't believe it.
That Julian is throwing his weight around all day, acting like he knows everything just because he studied abroad.
He doesn't listen to any of our opinions. Now the whole department is full of complaints.
And some of the colleagues we were close to were targeted by Julian for no reason, forcing us to resign ourselves.
I've really had enough of this kind of life. Hearing that made me feel uncomfortable too. In the beginning, we only focused on making money and making the company prosper.
But after Julian came, everyone started playing mind games, afraid the people they trusted
most would betray them.
If a team's team spirit is broken, they naturally won't get far in the future, let alone the company's core marketing department.
But what could I say? Robert, how are you doing? Where are you planning to work? The guys will follow you. I gave a wry smile. I haven't decided yet. I want to rest for a while first. Just as I was speaking, the doorbell rang.
I thought my takeout had arrived.
I hung up the phone and hurried to open the door.
But when I opened the door and saw Eleanor standing outside, my mind went blank for a second.
Is something wrong? I hadn't expected Eleanor to suddenly show up.
She looked around the place with a look of disgust, then pinched her nose and walked in.
Robert Miller, you're really too messy, aren't you? When we divorced, you acted so nonchalant about it, not wanting any company shares.
I actually thought you had hooked up with some big shot and were really going to hit the big time.
I didn't expect you'd be languishing in this cramped apartment. Thank goodness I didn't choose to reveal our marriage back then. It would have been utterly humiliating.
I didn't say anything, just watched Eleanor with cold eyes, and asked again, "Why are you here?" I had just moved in and hadn't finished unpacking, plus I was genuinely tired these past couple of days. On top of that, the stove was broken. Naturally, I couldn't cook, so I had to eat takeout these past 2 days. It wasn't that I was giving up, I had just been on edge for 3 years and suddenly wanted to relax. But I hadn't expected that in Eleanor's eyes, it would only earn me ridicule.
I've signed the divorce papers, Robert Miller.
You brought up the divorce so decisively back then.
It's too late to regret it now. Let me tell you the truth. So what if those partners backed out? Julian found me a large listed corporation from abroad. They're rich and powerful and sent me the payment that very day. Since divorcing you, my luck has truly peaked.
Here. Her say that, I frowned, feeling a bit strange.
A large listed corporation from overseas? What did they see in Eleanor? For some reason, I had a bad feeling.
Before I could even speak, Eleanor received a call from the police.
What are you saying? How could our company be involved in illegal overseas transactions? There must be a mistake.
I had guessed right. Eleanor hung up the phone, looking incredulous, and instinctively looked at me. In the past, whenever major decisions needed to be made at the company, she would turn to me first for help. Over time, it seemed to have become a habit for her. But this time, I turned and sat back on the sofa.
Close the door on your way out, please. Eleanor looked at my calm demeanor.
She couldn't calm down at all.
She strode over to me, stared into my eyes, and asked, Robert Miller, tell me the truth, did you know something all along?
I don't have extraordinary abilities or the ability to predict the future.
I only trust my judgment of people. Julian isn't as capable as you thought. See? Now something's gone wrong, hasn't it? Eleanor clenched her fists.
Even now, she still didn't believe me.
Stop talking nonsense.
You clearly just have a prejudice against Julian.
With that, she stormed out. What I hadn't expected was that the police would come looking for me too. Full of questions, I went with them to the police station.
I immediately saw Eleanor sitting in the hallway, her face pale, looking completely dazed.
Only then did I learn.
The so-called large listed corporation Julian had introduced from overseas was actually a fraud organization. They had indeed paid Eleanor's company a large deposit initially, making everyone believe the partnership was done. But the source of that deposit was unclear, and it was initially suspected of being money laundering.
Now, Interpol had traced it back to Eleanor.
This incident had a significant impact.
Julian skipped town the day before the police showed up. Before he left, he absconded with all the cash from Eleanor's company. And foolishly naive Eleanor.
Even after becoming a criminal suspect, she was still defending Julian, thinking he had done nothing wrong. Now, after investigation, the police confirmed that Eleanor had been deceived unknowingly. And I, as the pillar of the marketing department before, had publicly resigned on Julian's first day. The police were also concerned I might still have some private contact with Julian, which is why they called me in for questioning as a matter of procedure.
My statement was taken quickly.
Just as I was about to leave the police station, Eleanor stopped me.
Robert, I'm sorry.
Her head hung low, and she had heavy dark circles under her eyes.
I couldn't bring myself to say it's okay.
I pressed my lips together and walked around her to leave. But Eleanor clung tightly to my coat sleeve. I was so stupid before, deceived by Julian's sweet talk.
But I was just thinking of the company. I just wanted everything to get better gradually. Robert, but now I know I was wrong. I was so incredibly wrong. Can you come back and help me?
When she didn't need me, I was trash to be kicked away. Now that she needed me, I was suddenly a treasure to be held in her palm.
Anyone hearing that would find it ridiculous, wouldn't they?
I turned my head to look at Eleanor, just pulled the corner of my mouth into a slight smile. We're divorced. I resigned from the company a long time ago. From now on, the company's survival or failure has nothing to do with me. All of this was Eleanor's own choice. She should also learn to take responsibility for her actions. I realize now that this company belongs to both of us. We were indispensable to each other. Before, I was arrogant and didn't realize how much you sacrificed for the company. It was all my fault. Can't you just give me another chance? Robert Miller, I truly know I was wrong. I can't let go of you. Those words were too late. After I had completely let go of Eleanor, after her image had long vanished from my heart, only then did she finally say them. I smiled faintly. But I'm sorry, I've already started a new job. I can't go back. I saw her expression freeze. She must have heard something these past few days. The reason those partners canceled their agreements was because of me. They had only chosen Eleanor's company because they trusted me as a person. She thought Julian was salvation, that he would take her to the next level. But she never expected that he would ultimately lead her into ruin. After that, Eleanor came to find me several times. She would stand downstairs from my place, saying nothing, just staring straight up at my window. But I didn't go downstairs, nor did I unblock her number. It was over, and that was that. I wouldn't go back, nor would I face the painful memories of the past again. Not long after, Eleanor's company declared bankruptcy due to funding issues. She never understood winning people over, and on top of that, she had let Julian get away with stirring up trouble in the company. The founding employees who had started the business with us had long since resigned one after another, and looked for new opportunities elsewhere. As a result, when the company finally went bankrupt, not a single person stood by her side to face it with her. There was only the chatter of netizens and the curses of employees. Eleanor was deep in debt. In the end, she had nowhere left to turn and jumped from a building late at night. The last person contacted in her phone was me. When I heard the news, I was completely numb. I took half a day off from work specifically to go there. I saw that pale face, slowly covered under a sheet. There was an indescribable feeling in my heart. As for Julian, he was arrested abroad half a month later. The investigation revealed that his overseas degree was fake. A few years prior, he was involved in criminal activities abroad and joined a fraud organization. He came back. This time specifically because he targeted Eleanor. I turned off the TV and closed my eyes. Then I went back to my study and worked overtime to complete the new order. No matter what, my life had to continue.
And Sarah into the police. The documents contained all the proof of his and Sarah's collusion and planning of the car accident, constituting aggravated assault. When asked why he severed the tendons in his hands, he laughed self-mockingly, atonement. When Jessica conveyed this news to me, I was silent for a long time. Back then, Robert had used those hands to perform surgery on me, took away my child, and removed my uterus. Now, he had destroyed his own hands, hoping to atone for his sins. Unfortunately, what I had lost, he could never repay. Outside the window, large golden sycamore leaves fell with the wind, like a beautiful rain. But no matter how beautiful, after a day or two, they would be crushed by pedestrians walking on the road, mixed into the dirt, becoming broken and dirty. Just like the beautiful memories Robert and I once shared. A foreign colleague held a Chinese poetry collection and asked me, puzzled, Mia, how do you translate this line? Which one? He said haltingly in broken Chinese, our paths diverge now, forever. Let us not speak of who was right or wrong. And here Mrs. Thompson would throw $1 million at me to make me leave her daughter. I had already planned it out in my head. I probably wouldn't have agreed to $1 million. After I saw Mrs. Thompson out, Victoria Thompson arrived shortly after. What did my mom say to you? She looked a little nervous. Nothing much. That's good. I was afraid you'd leave again like last time. I'm not leaving. I'm staying to be with you. While discussing the marriage arrangements, Victoria Thompson specifically brought my family from hometown. Except for the 2 brothers who were working, the rest all came. Seeing them, I felt like a stranger. After all, I was sent away at a young age, and there wasn't much family affection. Victoria Thompson also wanted my family to witness my wedding, and I was grateful to her for that. When my father and my mother came, I arranged a hotel for them, but they insisted on staying at the Song Mansion. Victoria Thompson complied with everything. Oh my, look, it just goes to show our Leo is capable. You'll be living in a big house like this from now on. They showed no shame about selling me back then. Instead, they were enjoying the benefits of the Song residence. It was as if selling me was for my own good, putting me in a place of fortune. Leo, we also came this time because we have something to discuss. Look, some of your brothers don't have very good jobs. Why don't you see about arranging something for them? After all, you'll be the head of the Song family/corporation in the future. Yes, Leo. Our house is also cramped. There's not enough space for the grandchildren at home. Your sisters who married poorly, still living at home. I heard you earned a lot. Help out with expenses, Leo? In my father's and my mother's eyes, there wasn't any sympathy for me, only full of calculation/selfish motives. You sold me into the Song residence back then. Have you lost your memory? How can you make so many demands of me? This is the Song residence. Do you think this is a marketplace? Demanding this and that. All these years, if they had even sent me a letter to ask how I was, I wouldn't be this angry. Hey, you can't talk like that, Leo. It was fate that you and Miss Song met, otherwise, how could we become related to establish ties with the Song family? You owe it to your father for paid the debt, otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten in, and you'd probably be like your brothers marrying someone ordinary/less successful. So I should be grateful to you? For selling me at such a young age. Victoria Thompson walked over and blocked me. All these years, I had actually longed for family affection, and she understood that about me. But my father and my mother weren't worth longing for at all. Uncle and Auntie, please stay here comfortably during this time. If you need anything, just tell the staff members. Okay, good. Thank you, daughter-in-law. They are your parents after all. Let bygones be bygones. Only by letting go of this issue can you live happily. I was unfortunate, sold off repeatedly at a young age. My heart felt bleak inside. But I was also fortunate that I met Victoria Thompson. Victoria healed my unhappy childhood. After marrying Victoria Thompson, I always patiently took care of her. I never let her do any strenuous tasks, nor did I ever say a harsh word to her. Several $100s. Not to mention driving a BMW car and carrying a bag worth $10,000 or $20,000. I got in the car first. Immediately after, I saw Brandon running out through the rearview mirror of the BMW car and hitting Hannah. You bitch. You caused my house to be seized. Where am I going to live in the future? Brandon was furious. Hannah had bought his high-end condo behind my back with our money. Naturally, I wouldn't let go of anything I could recover. It's just that all the money Hannah gave Brandon was lost by this kid in gambling. He owed millions of dollars in debt. I didn't expect to be able to recover it. Was this the life Hannah wanted? I was about to step on the gas and leave. Sophia suddenly appeared in front of me. She was still wearing the Chanel dress I had bought for her before, but it was dirty. She looked at me with pleading eyes. Dad, can you take me home? I won't hate you anymore in the future. I don't have anything to wear, nothing to eat. I was wrong. Dad, you used to love me the most. I hate Mom. She's the one who ruined me. Dad, when I turn adult and have a birthday in the future, can you give me a car like this too? I got out of the car and squatted in front of Sophia. My heart was very calm. I can support you to study until you graduate from college. Besides that, I'll give you $2,000 a month for living expenses, not a penny less. Go find your mom. I'm already scared. If I do it again, I'll go crazy. Sophia pursed her lips, stubbornly looking at me, refusing to leave the front of the car. Her eyes were filled with confusion. I hate Mom. I hate Brandon. Dad is the best to me. Dad, please don't be angry. I'll listen to you from now on. I miss my big bed. I live outside, and I won't be able to sleep. Until now, Sophia's words still showed that she couldn't bear the previous material life. Even if she sincerely showed me a trace of emotion, maybe my firm heart would soften. I pulled Sophia away and stepped on the gas, and left. It wasn't that I was too heartless. Once bitten by a snake, 10 years afraid of the well rope. I had lost confidence in marriage and in everyone around me. Maybe I would live my life in the way I wanted in the future, but I would never get married or have children again. In the following days, Hannah would bring Sophia to wait for me at the office gate every day. The newly hired security guards strictly followed my orders and didn't let them step into the office. No matter how they begged or how pitiful they were, I didn't give them a penny again. 3 months later, Hannah disappeared with Sophia. The last time I saw her was in a business club. I was discussing business with a friend at the time. When the club hostess was called in, I saw Hannah at first glance. She no longer had the pampered and superior air she used to have. All that was left in her eyes was exhaustion. Our eyes met. Hannah lowered her head in fear. My friends all quieted down. They also recognized Hannah and looked at me with complicated expressions. I waved to Hannah and took out a few $1,000s from my briefcase and put it on the table. Do you want it? But it's not free. If you come over and drink this bottle of whiskey, you can take it. Hannah didn't hesitate at all. She walked over and firmly grasped the few $1,000s and drank the bottle of whiskey in one breath. At this time, she'd probably understood that even a few $1,000s couldn't be obtained by sitting at home, applying face masks, eating diet salad, and asking for it. I'm sorry. Hannah looked at me, vicissitudes of life. She looked several years older. Are you still with that Brandon? I asked casually. Hannah nodded. He threatened me with videos and photos, asking me to work as a hostess in the club to earn money to pay off his debts. I laughed out loud. Didn't that grandson say he wanted to make money to support you? In this world, how could there be so many idiots? Hannah bit her lip hard. Tears were streaming down her face. Through her mentioning the things that had happened in the past few months, I learned that her parents' house had also been sold under Brandon's coercion and inducement. All the money was also taken by Brandon to pay off his debts. I took out a few $1,000s again in front of Hannah and put it on the table, asking those women who wanted it to dance for me. Hannah, do you see that? I can make these women please me and curry favor with me with just a few $1,000s. That night, I scattered tens of thousands of dollars in the club. I was carefree. I didn't have to worry about coming home late, not having time to spend with my wife and daughter. I didn't have to worry about not earning money to support them. I also didn't have to worry about raising a family of wolves in sheep's clothing. 14 Ever since Hannah and Brandon had a falling out, Brandon would beat and scold Hannah and Sophia every night. Sometimes he wouldn't even give them food. According to Hannah, Brandon hadn't given up yet. He kept telling them to find a way to ask me for money. When I heard that Brandon had taken all the $2,000 of living expenses that I gave Sophia every month for himself, I finally got a little angry. The next night, I called a few friends from society and blocked Brandon on the road he had to take after work, using a burlap sack to cover his head and teach him a hard lesson. Under their rental house, Brandon was beaten until his head was bleeding. I had so many ways to make his life worse than death to deal with this kind of little scoundrel. In today's society, money can make the devil push the millstone, but there is no need to play too hard. This was the life Hannah chose. Only when they faced the bloody society would they know that the place they lived in the beginning was simply paradise. The more remorse they felt, the more my angry mood could be calmed down a little. A few days later, I received a strange call. Brandon's voice came from the phone. "Sean, I don't believe you have any feelings for Hannah and Sophia. I've been forced to a dead end. If you want them to live, give me $5 million in cash. At worst, I'll die with them." I asked Brandon with a sneer on the phone. "Didn't you say you loved Hannah and wanted to make money to support them?" Brandon laughed out loud. "Sean, do you think I'm as stupid as you? If it wasn't because I valued Hannah's generosity and willingness to spend money for me, only an idiot would like this kind of old woman in her 30s who's loose and has no charm at all. Oh, and the way she flatters me in front of me, you probably haven't seen it in the 10 years you've been married to her. It's pretty interesting." I endured the bursts of sadness in my heart. In fact, in my heart, I already believed what Brandon said. Hannah could do it. I hung up the phone and called the police without hesitation. The current Hannah was not as important as a meeting or a drink with friends. You have to finish the road you choose, crying and kneeling. Just like I chose in the beginning, freedom and romance are built on money. Without money, there is only an endless vegetable market, endless cheap cosmetics, and endless firewood, rice, oil, and salt. It was because I understood this truth that I desperately earned money after I married Hannah. They were in freedom and love, but they still rushed to the abyss. Brandon underestimated my determination. He thought I would be foolish enough to take $5 million to find him and then wait for him to spend it all, the second $5 million, the third $5 million. Once something started, it would cycle forever. Maybe Brandon didn't expect that he would eventually not wait for the $5 million I brought, but the fully armed police. At this moment, Hannah also saw my decision. If she still had a little wisdom, she should understand that I would never look back. 15 That and I. GHT, Brandon surrendered voluntarily as soon as he saw the police. I had my assistant go to the scene and witness the whole process. Still, that sentence, Brandon was just a little scoundrel. He might have some ability to pick up girls and cheat money, but if he wanted to be tough, even if he had 2 more guts, he wouldn't be that kind of person. Brandon was sentenced to 7 years for kidnapping and extortion. To some extent, I also did a good thing, rescuing Hannah and Sophia from this scoundrel's hands. Half a year later, Hannah's family lived in poverty. The whole family was squeezed into a cheap rental house. Her parents, who had already resigned, one went to work as a sanitation worker, having to get up at 5 or 6 o'clock every day, and the other went to the factory gate to work as a security guard. The next time I saw Hannah was half a year later. I met Hannah, who was selling snacks on the street, on the way to the office for a meeting. She had no jewelry or designer clothes on her body. Her face was full of wrinkles, and there was no trace of her wealthy appearance. Seeing me stop the car and lower the window, Hannah looked at me and forced a smile. "How's Sophia doing?" I asked casually. Hannah nodded. "She's at school. Same old, same old." A moment of silence passed. Hannah burst into tears. "Sean, I regret it," she sobbed. "Now I understand how incredibly kind you were to us. I didn't know how good I had it. It turns out making money is so hard." She crouched on the ground, weeping uncontrollably. I gave a faint smile. I had let go of everything. "Hannah, what's missed is missed. There aren't that many chances for regrets in this world." The following year, Hannah got married. After all, she wasn't bad looking. She found a man, also divorced, and quite a few years older than her. I sold my office, too, and with the money, I decided to see the world. A person has to live for themselves sometimes. Eventually, in the Colorado mountains, I met a girl. Her eyes were pure, and she had 2 dimples when she smiled. We traveled together. After a year of silence in my heart, I felt a spark with this girl. I lied and told her I was just a small employee at an office, making $3,000 or $4,000 a month. The girl winked at me and said with a smile, "Quit your job when we get back. I'll take care of you." Just like I had said to Hannah once. It turns out you have to find someone worthy of your efforts. But the truth was too cruel. But Hannah was surprised to find that she had anger burning in her heart when she faced her mother's crying. She didn't want to forgive her mother, but she had no choice but to take care of her. So she agreed to the divorce. Could she keep it a secret from Xander forever, even if she put herself in his shoes? Hannah regretted it. She had made a terrible mistake, letting go of the person who loved her most, even without blood ties. Passing colleague and asked, "Do you want this tie for $50? The colleague smiled and said, "This brand is not cheap. Are you selling it to me?" I nodded. Then the colleague and I exchanged money for the tie. Howard Thompson's face turned pale as he watched the scene. How could you?" I chuckled and said, "Howard Thompson, isn't this how you treated me for the past 7 years? Do you think we can still get to the future?" Howard Thompson looked at me deeply, as if nailed to the spot. The next day, I heard from the restaurant where he worked that he had returned to the country. Not long after, news broke in the country that he was divorced. However, he never had any scandals again and became a diamond bachelor that everyone in the industry wanted to curry favor with. And my life and his gradually became parallel lines that would never intersect. The end. A new processing plant. During this period, David Miller was always with me, encouraging me. David Miller and I got married. He has a 15-year-old daughter who is very cute and likes me very much. Amid the hustle and bustle, my life became complete, with a husband, a child, and a career. Following the tide of reform and opening up, our family of 3 strode forward, leaving behind a trail of laughter and joy.